Okay, let's go.
It's time for Be Picked. When you're ready to move from clicks to clients, learn to be picked.
Welcome to Be Picked. This is the show for professional service providers where we help you build and grow your business. I'm your host, Andrew Colsky, and today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn with our local expert here, actually not local, our international expert, Daniel Alfon. Welcome, Daniel.
Andrew, thank you very much for having me on Be Picked.
Great. So we have not had a specific episode on LinkedIn yet, and I've been waiting to be able to do this because LinkedIn can be such a powerful tool, and so many people are lost as to how do I use it, what do I do, how do I set it up. So I'm going to ask you if you could take us from the beginning. You've got a small professional service provider. Maybe they're a lawyer, maybe they're a dentist, maybe they're a chiropractor, maybe they're a real estate agent, whatever it may be. What do they need to know about LinkedIn to get started?
LinkedIn is just the tool, and business is more important than the tool.
Okay.
In other words, you should be able to define your ideal client. The ideal client for a lawyer could be someone who could refer business to that lawyer, and the ideal client for a chiropractor would be someone else. But if you have in mind your ideal client, then all we have to do is ask three simple questions. A, who's your ideal reader? And B, Andrew, if you could make those ideal clients visit your LinkedIn profile, when they're looking for someone like you, but they don't necessarily know you personally, what action would you like them to perform after they check you out on LinkedIn? What do you think would be the answer of the Be Picked audience? What would be your answer? If you could make your ideal reader check you out the moment they need someone like you, they want to move from being clicked to being picked, what action would you like them to perform?
Well, if I knew and I was confident that I had a properly established website that was more than just my name and address, I'd probably want to direct them to my website where they could do, find out more about me and do whatever action I want them to take. And that's one of the things that we talk about a lot on our other episodes is a website that just has your name, address, and law school you went to and degree you have isn't going to cut it.
You went to more than one school. You have certificates from half a dozen very prestigious institutions. So just the schools and the universities would fill a decent website. So if you want to make people perform that action, help them understand that this is the way to go. If you show your LinkedIn profile to half a dozen people and you ask them where would you click, unless they click on the link that leads to your website, you have some work to do. Clarity is more important than showing them all sorts of information. You have to guide them in a simple way. This is the next step. This is what I do. And this is the next step. If this sounds interesting, I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. And for me, one of the important things for Be Picked is on my homepage, at the very first page you come to, right at the top before you had to scroll down, I offer a free assessment to people where they can get an assessment of their credibility and find out their strengths and weaknesses of what they might need to do or what areas they're already doing well in. And so, by bringing them to a free tool, it gives them the opportunity to do something valuable for themselves, but it also gives them an opportunity to learn about the fact that Be Picked is more than just a podcast and we can actually help them build their business.
Excellent. It creates curiosity, and our interest in knowing what our score is or what would be the questions even is a great way to bring those people forward. You mentioned the importance of credibility. So here's a very simple exercise anyone can do. Google your full name, and for many service providers, they would find that their LinkedIn profile is in page 1, Andrew, and sometimes it's the very first result, organically, no paid media, nothing else, just Googling you, unless you're John Brown. LinkedIn will show your profile to the world. Let's make that profile count.
Right. Well, I do want to point out one particular thing there before we go past it and get your feedback. So you talked about knowing your ideal client, and you talked about, who would you be contacting on LinkedIn, or what would your focus be? And I think one of the tendencies for new LinkedIn users is, let me go and find a lot of people like myself who do the same thing, who are in the same area. Now that could be valuable to have contacts like that for some reasons, but those are not going to be your clients. So if you're a dentist and you're contacting other dentists, well, that's great to have those contacts, but other dentists don't need a dentist. Although maybe they do. But you're really looking for people who can refer people to dentists, or people who might need dentists, or people who, are on the other side, the ones that would be in the chair, not the ones who would be standing behind the chair. And I think a lot of people miss that understanding when they're setting up their LinkedIn profile and using it.
You're absolutely right. We could discuss another example, taking the lawyer example. Imagine I'm a realtor. Instead of connecting and looking at other realtors, what I could do is actually find an attorney. Because that attorney could bring me more than one deal. When they work on cases of inheritance or divorce, they could refer you. So think of people that your ideal client is working with before they need your services, and ideally people you're not competing with. You're not offering their services, they're not offering yours, but the logical step would be to start with them and then maybe to work with you. If you provide excellent service, if you let the person who referred you, if you thank them, if you let them know, they would feel more confident in referring another person your way until it works for your advantage, and ideally do the same for them. Find a way to help them, because no one likes to be the person who's being called only when people need them.
Right. So let's follow that through for a second. So I'm a realtor in your example, and I say to myself, okay, well, attorneys might be good people for me to hook up with, home inspectors, title companies, those types of things. So if I know that, and now I want to go and look for these types of people to connect with, how do I connect? Because I sure don't want to come out of the gate with a initial message, hi, I'm a realtor, can you send me business? And let me tell you, I get those hundreds of times a day I get those emails.
Could we make life simpler for the Be Picked audience?
Please.
Cool. So the biggest secret is knowing, Andrew, when to leave LinkedIn. And what do I mean by that? If you run a simple search for attorneys in Arlington, Virginia, or in Boise, Idaho, in your metro area, you narrow the search to second-degree contacts. In other words, people with whom you share at least one mutual connection. And you look at those names, because usually LinkedIn will show you the John Doe or the Jane Doe. And if you know them well enough, you leave the LinkedIn platform. You communicate with them either in real life, over coffee or beer or email, whatever works for them and preferably for you. You show them the link of the person, the attorney you'd like them to introduce you to, and you ask them a very simple yes-no question. Andrew, do you know that person well enough? Would you feel comfortable making an introduction? Because this is what I want you to discuss with them. You've got to respect their answer. If they say, I don't really know that person, you thank them and you move on to something else. If they say, yes, I could make that introduction, then you will be open, you will manage to open the door thanks to that mutual connection's name. Not our name, which is meaningless for the lawyer, but thanks to someone who said, Andrew, Jane, you need to speak.
Right. So okay, so there's one thing about reaching out to the right people. But let's even back up before that. Let's say I'm new to LinkedIn and I go in and I'm starting to set up my account, and they ask me, give me some information about yourself, give me a bio, tell me all this stuff. What type of information should I be putting in there, and maybe what should I not be putting in?
Simplest way to look at it is business information that helps your prospect understand your part of the solution they need to look at. So it would be 80-20 or 90-10, 80% information about your business and only 10, 15, 20% about something else. What is your specialty? Who do you work with? Why should we work for you? If you help people either disqualify themselves or say, this is exactly the person I'm looking for, you make life easier for them and also for you. So what questions are your prospects asking? You probably know the answers because you hear them all the time. Right. Look at question number 1 and make sure your profile answers that question early on. Look at question number 2 and try to make sure that the answer is clear without them having to work too much. And if you have time, look at question number 3. They don't need to send you an invitation to do something, even jumping on a call or a discovery call or going to your website like you mentioned could be the beginning of a meaningful business relationship.
So writing out a bio that strictly talks about your education, accomplishments, and knowledge base versus a bio that understands what your potential or what your ideal client's needs and concerns are two very different types of bios, right?
They could be extremely different, and I would try to answer first the second scenario, and only then maybe peppering in some of, if you have a story like, I moved from legal field to working with people with disabilities, and now I help A, B, and C, that's fine. But we need to understand the second half of the sentence. This is my current specialty, and everything I've done previously has helped me become a better service provider.
Right. Okay. And I realize I'm kind of jumping around here, but these are all questions that I hear all the time. LinkedIn, you come to my page, you click on my name, and my page comes up, and there's a banner right up there on top. How important is that banner? Is it important? If it is important, what should be on it?
Excellent. So you would not be surprised to learn that most LinkedIn users have not added a banner at all. Uploading a banner could take you anything from 30 seconds to 5 minutes. If you work with Canva, you can create an amazing banner. And I think the banner should have an appealing visual element that would make people stop, have a look at it, and understand they've come to the right place. And when I look at your own banner, it says from clicked to picked, we make you the obvious choice. What happens if I'm not interested in that? Very simple, Andrew, I move on, and you're not interested in me reaching out. But if this is something I struggle with, then people don't like to read. Except the be-picked audience, people don't like to read. So help them by showing them why they need to spend a few more seconds scrolling, reading, and deciding they want to reach out to you. And a visually appealing banner is a simple, very powerful way to do it.
Yeah. And I'll, just sharing my own stories here. When someone reaches out to me, or if I look at their site and I look at their banner, if they can't say what their message is in a couple words, I don't mean a few sentences, I mean a few words, then most likely I'm going to move on. And the people who send me multiple paragraphs of information in an introductory, comment or something, I don't have time to sit there and read that all day long. If you can't say it in a very brief, sentence or two, then don't say it, because nobody's going to read it and it just frustrates them.
You're right. There is a quote that says, I didn't have time to write a short message, so I wrote a long message. It's attributed to Mark Twain or Blaise Pascal, we'll never know, but the idea of editing and shortening is so powerful and so crucial that most people basically spam more people or automate spamming. You don't have to do that. We don't like receiving lengthy, wordy emails. No one likes it either. Make the few words you're writing count. This actually increases the chances of people reading them and moving to the next step, maybe speaking with.
Right. And in that message, again, like you said just previously, make it a message that speaks to that person's pain point or that person's needs, not telling them how wonderful you are. You know, to be blunt, they don't really care in the beginning. They care about their own pain point and can you address it? So, it amazes me the number of contacts I get from LinkedIn that just come right in with the hard sell, and then the ones who, if I don't respond to them, they've come to me with something that I am not interested in at all, and then they set their auto responders to spam me over and over. Oh, maybe you didn't get my message. Did you have a chance to look at my message? I don't know why you're not responding to my message. Well, I'm not responding because I don't want to. That's why. If I wanted to, I would have responded. Maybe you need to make a better initial message. How about that? But they don't think that way. And so those are the ones that get blocked. And so I spend more time blocking people than I spend actually connecting with people.
It's a pity, but LinkedIn is paying the price for its own success. We've got over 1.4 billion users, and every second, Andrew, 3 people sign up. So it's drawing the wrong type of audience. Don't be that person. Again, quoting your banner, we make you the obvious choice. Not we help. We make you're the star. We help the star, we help the hero, but the hero is our client.
Right. So let's dig in a little bit deeper here. LinkedIn has various different levels of memberships and different things that it can do. For a small professional service provider, what tools should they have access to? What do they need to make sure that they're using?
Excellent. So very quickly, instead of investing dollars, they need to invest time. The free account is, Andrew, so rich and so overwhelming that most service providers will never use more than 5% of LinkedIn's free abilities.
Wow.
If you pay without understanding the limitation of the free account, then you will not be able to leverage it. If you consistently invest time in LinkedIn and see that it works for you and you're interested in seeing more, then maybe at one point you'll say it's worthwhile paying because now I know I could do A, B, and C. But most people will never get there. Instead of paying, try to dedicate or invest enough time in LinkedIn to see what is this platform about. It's a strange beast. It's not exactly social media. On social media, we're posting all the time. This is my content, buy from me, I'm great. On LinkedIn, most people are not that keen. They don't want to see too much content coming from our end. So we don't need to resurface and check in every 12 hours. We need to make the last share we did count. Be it 3 weeks ago, yesterday morning, or 6 months ago.
So what is the best way to build credibility with your ideal, customer, your ideal audience? There's the ability to post pictures. You can post articles. You can post comments. You can go and reply to other people's comments. You can join groups. It becomes overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best way to maximize the benefits of LinkedIn?
Cool. So the question I would ask is, how much time, Andrew, do you think you can dedicate to LinkedIn on a long-term basis for the next 6 months? Anything you say is okay. You can say 10 minutes a week. But I will ask, will you find those 10 minutes in 6 months' time or not? And if you're not sure, then cut it to 5. Now let's make those minutes count. First level is making sure your profile speaks for itself. Second level is making sure that your connections are speaking for themselves. In other words, I would advise people to have a connection strategy. Would you like to be the most connected or the best connected if you had to pick one?
And quality over quantity.
Excellent. Most people start by wanting to be the best connected, keep hearing they need to grow their network and grow their network without really reaching exposure. Exposure starts with maybe 30 or 40K followers. Most people will not get there. So make sure your connections are people you can ask for referrals, and you can gain a significant amount of business with 255 connections, and you might have 13,000 without translating those connections into revenues. In other words, try to find a system. Doesn't have to be Daniel's system, doesn't have to be Andrew's system. Each and every one of us is wired differently. But if you manage to have a system that is working for you consistently, you'll gain more introductions, more business, and the metrics should always be, in my book, the business metrics. Not the LinkedIn metrics, not the number of connections or views or likes. That's meaningless. Revenues, orders, demos, inquiries, this is what we're looking for. So treat LinkedIn as a black box that needs to feed your funnel, your marketing machine, your website, the one you're working on.
Right. But so I understand that part of it, but the information and the material that I'm putting out there, is it more important that I spend time responding to things that other people put out? Is it more important to put out a blog article or a posting about something? If I do put something out, what type of material or what type of content is going to be most beneficial? Does it need to be something that I'm hoping will go viral somehow? What do I do when I'm on LinkedIn?
If you want to go viral, I have a Brooklyn Bridge to sell you. It doesn't happen that way, or it doesn't happen, scientifically. And even before that, I would ask, would it make sense for you to share content? And the answer may differ. Some people will say yes, and some people will answer it differently. If you are happy sharing, even when you have a lot of clients, and if you produce high quality educational top of funnel content that is evergreen, like the Big Pick podcast, then sharing content on LinkedIn will make sense. But if you don't have any content, you don't have to try to feed the machine. You can succeed without sharing anything on LinkedIn. This is one of the most unusual characteristics of the platform. The single most frequent action LinkedIn users perform is actually visiting other people's profiles. So ask yourself, the person I'm trying to reach, my ideal prospect, what is the first question they ask themselves? And you have heard the questions hundreds of times. Andrew, could you help them take a very small baby step from point A to point B, and then showing them that there's a whole point C and D, and to do that, they would need to book a time with you, or watch that video, or go to your website, or do something else. In other words, help them. Don't sell, don't hard sell, but help them where they are, and help them move a bit to the choice that you present for them. And you can be successful without sharing anything or very little on LinkedIn.
Right. So, the main point there I find to be true, whether it be LinkedIn, whether it be a blog on your website, whether it be a YouTube video, whatever you put out there, if your content is helpful and educational and meaningful to your ideal audience, that's what they want. They don't want to be sold. They don't want to hear how great you are. They want information that's going to help them solve a pain point that they have.
Couldn't agree more. And if you do that, you don't have to sell, they want to buy.
Right, exactly. And this is exactly, actually, today I'm going to be making this video. The whole concept of, I was thinking about it a lot last night, and it hit me. Marketing and selling, which a lot of people do on LinkedIn, which are the ones that get blocked by me anyway, which is, hey, I got this great thing. You really should have it. You really need it. You really should try it. It's fantastic. You need it. Get it. Get it. And it's like, I'm not interested in that thing. I'm not looking for that thing. I don't have a pain point related to that thing. So you can scream and holler and yell all day long, and I'm not going to pay you any attention because I don't need it. So it's like trying to lead the horse to water, the horse that is not thirsty. What most people miss is the fact that there are indeed a lot of thirsty horses out there. So be the water. Let them find you, because a thirsty horse is searching for water. So be there. Show up as water. Provide meaningful information for that thirsty horse. Don't be chasing all the horses who are not thirsty because they're just going to block you or ignore you.
I wish more people heard and acted on that wise piece of advice. LinkedIn has not changed anything in the way we're wired. You can't waltz into a bar, look at a young lady and propose. It doesn't work maybe in Disney movies, but it doesn't work like that.
Right.
You have to build trust. You have to build credibility. And when you're so busy trying to find a shortcut, you end up working a lot more, you being less successful, and you jeopardize your reputation. And some service providers could make a living with half a dozen clients. We don't necessarily, sell pencils. We don't have necessarily 2 billion items to ship. So be thoughtful about it.
Yeah. It goes down to when you were talking about metrics and things before. I tell clients, look, if you put out, for example, a YouTube video, and you get, 70 views, and you think, oh, this really didn't work. This was no good. I only got 70 views. If you get 70 of the right views versus 1,000 of the wrong views, you're successful. You're not out there looking to have viral videos to build your business. You're looking to have meaningful videos that hit the right audience, the thirsty horse, and that's how you're going to grow. So you have to know what numbers you're looking at and what those numbers actually mean.
It's a great analogy, and a room with 10 of your ideal prospect is better than an arena with 10K people who will never be interested in your kind of water.
Right. So let's do this. We've talked a lot about things on LinkedIn. Can you tell us if someone new to LinkedIn came to you and they said, give me the first 3 things that I absolutely need to make sure that I do right, what would you tell them?
So the first question I would ask is not about LinkedIn, it's about their business. What are they selling? Who are they selling it to? And if they're not sure, then I would leave the LinkedIn platform and be sure to answer that question, because the best time to leverage LinkedIn is when you have a simple answer to that question. If I wake you up at 4 a.m., you need to be able to tell me service provider who want to be picked and not just clicked. Maybe it will take some of the listeners here, weeks or months or years to discover that, but I would start there. If you start with LinkedIn without having those answers ready, you're likely to spin your wheels and work a lot, and that will not be very productive. So A, your business, and B, your networking system. Again, LinkedIn is the tool. The art is networking. The way you conduct your networking may be different from our audience or me, doesn't matter, but you have a system. Investing in your relationship with people you've worked with and people you have met can grow your business years to come. And LinkedIn is one tool that could help you discover that someone you worked with has just started a new position, or they have moved from that location to another location. And this would be a good opportunity for you, Andrew, to reach out to them and make it about them. If you help enough people, when they're looking for someone with your skill set, they will think of you without you having to say, buy from me, you need that sort of gasoline.
So, excuse me. So this has been really interesting and really helpful. And, you know, it's also interesting with all the different experts that we speak to on this podcast from all the different, you know, disciplines and areas. The same message always comes through, which is meaningful information, helpful information to your ideal audience is the most important part. Everything else is a tool to help you do that. And it doesn't matter which tool you use, you have to make sure that you're using it for that purpose. And as long as you do that, those are the types of things that are going to build your credibility, that are going to build your trust, and that are going to build your business.
Excellent. I'm glad. I was listening to the latest episode you released on Apple with the online courses with a Meet and the way to answer questions about is this course worth investing my money in? Is it a scam or is it something else? The same questions pop up, and depending on the platform, the answers Andrew would differ, but the basic ethics don't change that much.
So let me ask you this. If somebody is listening to this podcast and they wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
They would go to danielalfon.com and they would click either on downloading a free resource or receiving a monthly tip or booking a one-on-one call with yours truly.
Fantastic, because I know there's a lot of people who really want to benefit from from LinkedIn and they're just unsure. But a lot of good tips and information on this particular episode, so thank you for sharing that. And if you're listening to this episode, I encourage you to visit Daniel, and I'm sure he can give you all sorts of additional expert advice and tips to help you be successful. I also encourage you to visit our website, www.bepicked.com. You can fill out that credibility gap assessment. It's free, 15 questions, and we'll give you a report on where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, so you know what to focus on, so you know where to begin. And you can also check out my upcoming book, Left of Trust. It's available for pre-order now, so go ahead and get your copy before they all sell out. And we look forward to seeing you on a future episode of the BPIC podcast that comes out weekly. Thank you, Daniel, and I'm your host, Andrew Colsky. We'll see you on a future show.
Be the water.
If you are enjoying this content, please like and subscribe. Thank you.